What's up, family? This is your boy Ivan Hall, the Credit King. You may owe a debt, in which case you are a debtor who is constantly harassed. You don't have to give up your sanity or privacy just because you owe money. If negotiating with the creditor has failed, there are options for protecting your privacy. I am going to tell you what they do, how they operate, and how to protect yourself. I, for one, am not from the school of thugs where debtor prison still wins out. If you owe a debt, you should pay it. But millions of Americans find the debt collection process a total nightmare. Creditors don't usually track debtors down. Their in-house collection procedures go about as far as a few series of letters and phone calls followed up by a few threats to turn the account over to a collection agency. But what do you do if a collector is calling you at work, sending you mail, calling your neighbors, and generally making your life hell? You hide. First of all, to avoid the day-in day-out debt collector who lives to make your life hell, you have to understand how he operates. To be politically correct, I will also mention there are a lot of very good, nice, understanding debt collectors who really do try and help, but they are far and few between the masses of collectors who love to taunt. How does he keep finding you? Calling your relatives, neighbors, ex-boss, even your ex-girlfriend, and no matter how many times you have changed your phone number or moved, he always finds you. Debt collectors may have been born with an innate sense to smell you out, but doubtfully. They use many tools to locate debtors and have an arsenal at their disposal. Especially collection agencies. Before a collector can find you or even convince you that you owe a debt, he has to identify you. Although he may simply call you and state that you owe the debt, he does have to prove it if you request so. This protection for you is called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. It states that upon the debtor's request, proof must be provided that the debt is owed. Once the collector has reason to believe you owe the debt, he can begin to go after you. Some of the most popular skip tracing methods are voter registration. When you register to vote, those records become public. DMV. Creditors must prove that they have a valid reason to access your data. A valid reason is showing that a debt is due or that they intend on suing you. The DMV will then release the information that shows your address, vehicle, and VIN number. Secretary of State. Also has been used in the past to locate a debtor. Business License Department. If you own your own business or a fictitious business license, the collector can contact the licensing department and access your information. Yellow Pages. Seems obvious, but it is the first place a collector will look. Consider having an unlisted number. Credit reports. Collection agencies often run your credit report to find you. Landlord. Collectors often call current or past landlords to find out information about you. Be selective in what you tell your landlord. Neighbors. Collectors call your neighbors and either ask for information about where you work and what time you come home, or they claim to be trying to deliver a package to get information. Crisscross Haynes Directory. Libraries carry crisscross books that list addresses for each resident. This is how collectors often get your neighbor's phone number. Post Office. Many times, because collectors feel you are ignoring them but do live at the address they have on file, they will conduct an address verification wherein they request verification only, not delivery. P.O. Box break. The Public Information Act says we have a right to request a P.O. Box business provide us with the box owner's real address. Many box businesses will refuse, but the collector often threatens to tell his congressman that the owner is violating the act. Ask your box owner if you can add a privacy waiver to your account to reduce the risk. Substitution service. Think you can't be sued because the marshal only has your P.O. Box address? Wrong. The collector can request that the process server go to the P.O. Box address and confirm you own it. He can then subserve your box owner. The collector has to serve the business owner or manager only, not employees. If he does and you don't reply, a default judgment can be entered. Private investigator. If the debt is large enough, a collector may consider retaining the services of a PI. The PI can do an asset search on you without you ever knowing it. Also, remember that the creditor or collector may already have quite a bit of information about you from the original loan papers. Collectors often go through old loan notes and look at your financial statements and personal references. Property records. Many collection agencies have microfiche in-house which lists the owner of certain properties. They can use this data to determine the balance and worth of your home. They often will place a lien against your property if the balance owed is sufficient. Again, you must be sued first. Social media and internet. Social media channels like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter are places that debt collectors commonly troll and looking for information. Be careful where you check in on Foursquare, listing your job on Facebook, or tweeting personal information on Twitter that can be used against you. Protecting your privacy. Unfortunately, you cannot ensure that debt collectors will never find you, but you can take steps to protect your privacy. Keep a tight rein on your personal information by limiting what you release to creditors, relatives, or coworkers. If you've been harassed by a debt collector, you can file a complaint online with the Federal Trade Commission at ftc.gov, and you have the option to send a cease and desist letter to any collector. Protect your greatest asset and go get that money.